Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Oksana and I am a mindset and results coach. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. Today I have had the absolute honor of receiving an incredible testimonial. It's sort of a bit of an interview with one of the first clients I've had to work with me on my 12-week turnaround program. And I'm feeling really excited to introduce you to her because she's not only is she like super cool, but she gives you an incredible insider look as to what the program looks like, where her mindset was when she first started, what her experience with the program was, and what she's leaving with after completing the program. So sit back, enjoy this interview. It's an incredible time. Jamie is an incredible individual. Super cool, really kind, just all around awesome chick. So sit back, enjoy, and remember to like, subscribe, and share this video once you have completed it. Enjoy. Okay, hey Jamie, thank you so much for giving this testimonial today. So Jamie, you and I have worked together for, how long has it been? Like years?
Last April, I think.
Last April, okay. And you initially came on with one-on-one coaching. Mm-hmm. And after that, you joined us for the 12-week turnaround program. And I'm really, like I gotta say, I'm actually really excited to have you here just to give us some insight and give our listeners, our viewers, some insight as to what your experience was with the 12-week turnaround program. So thank you so much. First things first, I'd love for you to share when you initially started working like with the 12-week turnaround program, what were some of your like biggest roadblocks, like heading into there, what got your attention, and what were some of your biggest roadblocks you were facing?
So I'll rewind a little bit to when we first worked together one-on-one. The biggest thing, like why I wanted to hire you in the first place, was I was kind of between courses and like between contracts, had this dead space of time of a month, and my fitness level was like really high. And I knew that if I like went home back to, the COVID like slump of things again, it was going to be really easy to like slip back into my old habits. And so I wanted someone to keep me accountable because I was living by myself at the time. And so I hired you so that I would have more motivation and someone to keep me accountable. But moving through that course with you and like working through, okay, well, why do I need motivation? Mm-hmm. Why do I need someone to be accountable to? Why can't I just do this myself? It kind of helped me to realize that it's more about like more of a fear of failure, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I was trying to work on in January when I first did the 12-week program. Was less about trying to have someone to keep me accountable and delving into, well, why do I like find it so hard to take that first step to put on my shoes and go for a run, you know? So yeah, a lot of it was just kind of working through what those behind the scenes thoughts were that were keeping me from achieving my goals. And in the end, I think it really is just like a fear of failure, and not like a knowable fear, but it's just kind of like, well, if I start doing things, well, then there's a chance that it's not going to work out. Or I just kind of realized that I need to just start doing things and embrace the failure rather than being scared of it. And just put on my shoes.
That's awesome. Just put on the shoes, right?
Just put on the shoes.
Yeah, just put on the shoes.
It's one step at a time.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I'm actually really glad you brought that up because it's pretty interesting how like as disciplined or like as like regimented as one can be, it's those little thoughts that like get in the way of our we don't even realize they're there, right? But it's just those tiny ones, and they accumulate over time, and then you find yourself like feeling stuck, or you're just like, oh, why can't I do this, So thank you so much for sharing that. So over our 12 weeks of working together, well, technically like a year, but more specifically the 12-week turnaround program, what were some of the things that you felt you were able to overcome and ultimately achieve?
So we'll just build on the end of the last question. It's that putting one foot in front of the other. And I really realized that instead of having these big goals of, because at the beginning we'd always set the goals, and that's kind of where my stump was. It was, okay, I want to like save this amount of money or lose this amount of pounds or gain this muscle. it's like, okay, well, you can say that, but then you need these like milestone, which we'll touch on later, I think, but little goals in between, or these little steps. And instead of just stating this big goal, it's like, okay, well, through this course, I was able to realize that I needed to like break them down into these smaller, more, like these smaller packets that are a little bit more easier to stomach, and just build on that step by step. So make sure that I didn't lose anything in my I have it all written down. But yeah, okay, so that the fear is still there, and I don't think that fear of failure will ever go away. I also tend to hold myself to like a high standard, and so it can be kind of scary to try something new, because what if I fail? And that will always be there, but I'm trying to kind of embrace that, and instead of letting it hold me back, let it kind of propel me forward, and then just focus on those little things that kind of get me to the bigger picture. But it's really about packaging them into smaller packages so that it's a little bit easier to achieve that bigger step.
That's amazing. I really like how you actually worded that, in terms of like that fear, instead of using that to scare you, or looking at that as something to scare you, you use it to propel you forward. And I think that's incredible. And I think fear is necessary, right? It's literally built within us. And I mean, you know this. I mean, you've been through challenges, right? You've overcome great things, right? On like your courses and whatnot. And so that fear is there, but you found a way through it, right? Which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just also to add to that, trying to rethink about or refocus that idea of fear, rather than about being a negative thing, of more like a learning opportunity. Totally. And just trying to like unlearn the learned. Throw some buzzwords in there.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's that growth mindset, right? And that's what you literally just explain, like reframing, right? You're reframing your mindset, which is huge, right? It opens up so many doors. So, it like gives me like chills that you just said that. Yes, okay. Okay, sweet. So then what would you say was the best part of your experience with the course?
Well, I have a little list for this, because it was kind of hard to pick on one, but the first thing that came to mind absolutely was the community. So I know like the Slack group was really new with the course when we did it this summer, and there was maybe like 2 or 3 of us at the time. And then you could see it kind of start to build, and then there's more people in it, and it's really fun to like, to realize you're not the only person that is trying to like, work through these problems, and you have a group of people to do it with together, and then you on top of all of that. And so that community was really great, especially for check-ins, or to see other people's goals or what they're working on that week. It was kind of neat, and then to see the progress. So definitely seeing like the community and watching that grow was really fun for me. What else do I have? All the exercises. So they're in the book and in the online portion of the course. There's so many exercises, and they're small, so don't let anyone who's listening to this think like, oh, there's gonna be so much work. Like you can literally do some of the stuff in like 5-10 minutes, like totally, it's pretty quick. But there's so many variety, which I really liked. So some things I kind of skimmed through and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really know if this quite like pertains to me specifically or the goals I'm trying to achieve. But then I go on to the next one and be like, oh, I really needed this exercise, Right. So there's lots of variety for whatever a person's trying to achieve or overcome in that particular week. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed all the different exercises, as well as the fact that they're like backed up with you're always pulling references and authors' names and stuff in all of your explanations. One thing that I'm always hesitant of, especially with like modern media now, you have all of this like motivational like profiles and stuff and videos with the nice music, and there's a picture of a person on a beach with their hands up, and it's just like, just do it across the screen, It's like, okay, I'm trying to do it, but how do I do it? I need more, They're like, just do it harder. So it's nice to have like all of these resources that you provide that actually have like scientific backing and psychological backing. And so I know that you've done your research and it's not just some wishy-washy stuff.
Like
And
the
so
woo
that's,
stuff, right?
yeah. So I really appreciate that a lot
Oh,
as
good.
well.
Good.
The last thing on my list here is the email reminders, because I got really good at doing like the book every Sunday, but I would always forget because I think for the first couple of weeks I didn't get into the online course portion. So I had some catching up to do, and I hadn't established like that habit with my Sundays yet. And so having the email reminders every Sunday was really great, because I'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta like do the video for this week or do the exercises. And so that was also really great. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, life gets busy, right? But
Yeah.
glad those reminders definitely help. Awesome. And so I would really love to, because like obviously like I'm here like as your coach to support and guide you. And I know there are some people who could be watching and listening to this that are a little hesitant about that, right? Especially if they don't know who I am, right? I'm a complete stranger. They're like, okay, I know I want to make a difference, or like I want to change my life or change the way I'm thinking to achieve my goals, but I don't know who this person is, right? So I would love for you to sort of give some insight as to how I supported and guided you throughout the entire process.
I think definitely the one-on-one calls were amazing, where I really realized, because I only really met you in person in a work context. So in the coaching context, I really didn't know what to expect, and I hadn't done it before either. But doing the one-on-one calls, which you also get to do with your open office hours during the 12-week program, were really great just to understand all of, it's going back to the research that you do again. So like the biggest thing that you really provided was, I thought I was just getting like some workouts and like some woohoo, in the background motivation. Yeah. But it was more like not quite a therapist, but someone just to like question. It was like that you were the little voice in my head, or the refuter of the little voice in my head, I guess.
Right.
Where, I would think like, oh, I don't want to get up in the morning to do this workout. And then you'd say, well, why? Why don't you want to get up? And it's like, oh, well, I don't know. And you'd be like, oh, well, let's work through that together. And you ask these questions that, either I didn't know to ask or I didn't want to ask myself either. And so like, that's where that coach really came out in our relationship. And I realized I was getting way more than I bargained for fitness stuff. Like, oh, okay, we're going into the why of things now. It's not just like, here's a workout, but I'm going to get like a full on, like, really reaching into myself and understanding what these hangups are so that I can work through them. And I feel like your ultimate goal out of all of that was so that when we finished our sessions, I think it did 6 weeks originally, then I'm off on my own. I'm not just floundering around again, but I actually have some tools and some resources of my own and habits, which is the biggest thing for me, that will actually keep me going after we're done our sessions. And so, like that was kind of the biggest thing for me, I guess, with working with you. And then you really see that come out in the book as well. So in January, when I did the 12-week program, just the book, that it was like you in a book, really. Every weekly exercise, I could like hear your voice as I'm reading what I'm gonna do. But yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know you, like, know that you're getting a coach, someone who's well educated, does her research. If you have a question, she doesn't know it, she's gonna go and find it for you. And yeah, it is just it was a really great relationship, and you're gonna learn a lot about yourself.
Yep. Amazing. Oh, I really appreciate that. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate you like talking about like the book and like the coaching itself, and then the course. That's awesome. So out of all of that, everything you've learned, you've overcome, what, like, to those who are listening right now or watching, what advice would you give them?
Well, try the program. I think the biggest difference for me has been establishing habits. And so, but that's the hardest part, So trying to establish the habit, trying to figure out what it is that's keeping you from establishing that particular habit. Those are the hardest parts. And so if you can just do one step at a time, like you want to get fit, okay, well, let's go on a run today. Okay, well, I'm on the couch. Just put on the shoes, then go sit back on the couch, but you got your shoes on. So just do one step at a time. Yeah, and don't beat yourself up for not doing it, and just figure out what held you back so you can try and change things the next day to try again. And if you're still struggling, again, try the course, because Oksana here will really hold you account, and she'll make sure that she helps you. Sometimes you don't know what it is that's holding you back. It's like, well, why can't I clean my kitchen? Why is it such a mess? I want it to be clean, you know? And so if you're not sure what it is that's keeping you from achieving those things in life that you want, or the daily habits, then here's someone right here who will help you work through all of that and provide you all these tools and resources you didn't even know existed.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. Yeah, honestly, just having that outside source, right? I mean, I've worked with plenty of coaches. I actually just finished with my the one coach I just had yesterday, and I think that's one of the main reasons why I hold it so highly, is because I've experienced that too, right? And it's just because, oh my gosh, I mean, we're all human, right? And our minds like to get ahead of us sometimes, right? And sometimes we justify things or actions or not doing actions without even realizing it, right? Yeah. But then when you have the outside source, it's like, hey, why'd you do that? And you're like, oh shit.
Call me out on it.
Yeah, busted, it's like, all right, I guess I'll do this, So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for that entire review. That's really awesome. I definitely know you've given some solid insight and clarity for a lot of our listeners or viewers. So thank you so much. And it's been awesome working with you, and hopefully, I mean, we'll be friends forever, guarantee. But I'd love to continue working with you down the line. But otherwise, thank you so much.
No, thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Okay, see you.
Okay.